Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from whichever part of the world you're from. This is Kavita Ramchand from Life Success Coaching in Mauritius. So, we are continuing to read the book You Were Born Rich. We are on chapter 8 called The Razor's Edge. The razor's edge is something, it's a very interesting concept, and it explains, that when, let's say, the Olympics, you've watched the Olympics, I'm sure, or you've watched a horse race competition, any competition that you've watched. These sometimes they have to, like, the video has to film that, the athletes on the crossing line, and it's like as if they all went through together, but there will be one winner, and that winner will be on their time, and sometimes it could be just by some seconds that somebody won a race. Like, what makes the difference between the one who came one, two, and three? We are talking about high achievers right now, okay? But high achievers are people who believe in themselves, who always want to be doing their best at whatever they do, right? And I was somebody who was like that. Not that I wanted to compete, no. I think my own competition was always with me because I just knew I had to give my best at whatever I did. And the results didn't matter. Of course, they mattered because you want to always be like, because it's at the end of the day, it was like a competition, even if it was with yourself. And then our education system taught us to compete with other people, with our friends. And even there, the competition got to be that to that point, like, that who's going to make it number one, who's going to be the get the scholarship or things like that. So this is for me, this is what the razor's edge means. It's like that one point that will make the difference between the number one and the number two, right? Okay, so let's continue reading the book. Here Bob is giving an illustration about a family that had come to one of his seminars. Okay, so he says approximately 1 year ago. I mean, this book was written long back, and a family attended one of my seminars in Toronto. They were a truly beautiful family, but they had a serious problem and they asked me if I could help them solve it. They informed me to begin with that they were the owners of an automobile repair shop, but they also explained their business had gone sour. So sour, in fact, that they were seriously contemplating closing their doors and going to work for someone else. In an attempt to assist them, I visited them on the premises of their shop and I asked them a series of related questions. Then I sat back and listened very carefully to the answers which they provided me with. It wasn't long before I ascertained that whenever I asked a question having to do with their ability as mechanics, they answered with great enthusiasm and literally overflowing with confidence. In fact, very soon they had me convinced not only were they very skillful mechanics, but they were exceptionally hard workers as well. On the other hand, however, I also discerned that whenever I asked them a question which touched upon the public relations side of their business, they exhibited absolutely no enthusiasm whatsoever. In fact, an aura of pessimism and despondency actually came over them. It was fairly obvious to me, therefore, the only problem which this family really had was dealing with their own mental attitudes. Once I had identified the exact nature of the problem, I was able to suggest corrective action. I told them they must begin to visualize their shop full of cars which needed to be repaired. I suggested, moreover, that every time they visualize themselves doing work on a car, they also visualize themselves vacuuming the inside of the car, washing the outside, and making sure the windows were spotless. I pointed out to them that because most people don't really understand very much about the mechanical aspects of a car, the only thing which they would notice was how it looked. And since almost everyone feels better driving a car that looks good, these little extra touches would soon start paying great dividends for them. Approximately 2 weeks later, I received a phone call from one of the family members. She told me that none of them quite understood how something so basic could make such a tremendous difference. But nevertheless, they had become so busy in the next 2 weeks since I had visited them. Their only problem now was completing all the work which they had attracted to themselves. The razor's edge difference that changed their business from a loser into a winner turned out to be nothing more dramatic than a hospitable attitude and a few additional touches on each and every automobile. Was it worth it? Just ask the Jacobs family of Toronto, Canada. So, this chapter is very interesting. The story is very interesting. To see things from a different perspective, for me, it was like that because as a Indian coming from a family of business people, I never lacked the understanding of knowing that when you're in business, you're in service. You're in service of your clients. You could be the owner of your business, of your company, but at the end of the day, you're in service of your customers, right? So I was brought up with the attitude of serving people, serving clients, because that's how we are in business. And there is I think, a quotation, I think, in business that the customer is king. So we grew up with the attitude that the customer is king and we are here to serve the customers, right? And that's a great attitude. Today, I realize that a lot of people are not aware of this, that this is an integral part of business. So if you're into business, you want to understand that your customer is really king, and your service. And if you go that extra mile, that extra mile makes the difference between that's the razor's edge for me. See, I'll tell you something. I have retail shops here. I always take the example of my retail shops to relate it to the service industry because it's a service. Even business is a service, right? So I'm providing a product. My retail outlets sell baby items, baby garments, baby strollers, baby car seats. So we are into selling, right? But we are always thinking of how can we do business better? How can we do things better? Like I remember during COVID, when COVID hit, everything had to shut down. We had to close our business down for like 2 months. But my mind was racing. How can I continue business? You know, that was important. I mean, of course, we have savings and we have investments and we were like comfortable, but I was just thinking, how would people manage those who were on salaries? But then, of course, the company paid. But what about business people who couldn't run their business? Luckily, I had already invested in Facebook, in the sense that how could I communicate with people? I mean, I wanted to go online, but that was not happening. So I said the next best way is Facebook. And I went on Facebook for my shop business. And I mean, that happened before COVID hit. It was like as if the universe was preparing us for what was coming. I tell you, life is always happening for your benefit. You will never know it in advance, but you will always connect the dots looking backwards. So when way before COVID hit, I had this idea. Let me go on Facebook, and I trained my staff because everybody loves to be on the mobile. I said, okay, let's be on the mobile with clients. So we would ask. We made a website, but it was not an interactive one. So people would connect with us and send us the photo. Before that, we didn't even have the website, so we were just take a picture and send it to the client. And we started selling in that way. Of course, I was doing it all by myself in the beginning, and it was like crazy. I was overworking myself, working at the shop, working online, and talking to customer one by one. Then I told my then I trained my staff to do the same thing. Gave everybody a cell phone or a phone in every shop. So when COVID hit, lots of parents were going crazy with their kids at home because the kids didn't have anything to do. And suddenly, parents started to think of monopoly games or other kinds of games or toys to entertain their children. Our toy sales were really high during COVID because soon after COVID hit, the economy had to start again. So the government started giving WAP, means work access permit, and our shops were closed. I applied for the permit right away. The shops were closed, shutters were down. Our staff was coming. They were allowed to come because they had the WAP permit. We applied for them. But we were working inside online, right? There were no customers physically coming to the shop, but online we were connecting with them, and most of them were ordering toys. And then we had, babies have to grow. You have to provide for the kids, and kids are growing. They need shoes, they need clothes, they need stuff. Toys were selling faster because parents were looking for something to entertain their children, and they had some kind of, like, even some transport service came in the picture, that they were providing service. So we hired a transport service, and we started getting our orders going. So this is what I am saying, that when you are on a path of growth, you are in business, you always want to keep on serving in a better and better way. So you get ideas on how to serve better. And just imagine how those ideas came into help later when COVID hit, you know. So business is a great opportunity to earn an income, but we have to keep it going. We have to keep improving with changing times on how we can help our clients better, right? So I'm going to leave you here today. I've already gone overboard. And that can make the little difference between somebody who's highly successful in business and someone who's not. Think about it. So thank you very much for being here, and I'm going to see you on Thursday. Bye bye.